record this. All right. So we're finishing up our lesson 12. So last Friday, we talked about the dashboard. We talked about the plot app. And I had you guys do the reflection. And I had you do the 1.12b, which was the first part of, the plot app. So we did the reflection. We looked at the dashboard and the plot app. And then we made sure we could log in. And then,
Miss K,
yes, Alexander.
I can't find the website. Like when I do, I'm trying to like type the ids.lbschools.net login, but it's not bringing up the login page.
There is no login page. You have to press there's a login button at the top right corner. See where it says login?
No, I mean like when I'm trying to get into the app, the website.
Okay. So you're going to the website, right? And it's ids.lbschools.net, right?
Yeah, that's what.
Okay. So are you able to get here?
Oh, I got it. I got it now.
Okay. All right. And then remember, you're going to press this login right here, right? So that you can log in.
Okay.
And then put in your username and your password and log in there. Okay. And it may ask you to log in multiple times. Sometimes if you're idle for like, more than 5-10 minutes, it makes you log in again, just how it works. Where was I? Back to our PowerPoint here. Yeah. Okay, so we were exploring our food habits, right? And we did part 1 where we only changed the x-axis on our plots, and our y-axis remained as the responses. So this was your homework on Friday. If you haven't turned it in, please make sure that you do turn it in, or you complete it and turn it in, because many of you guys are just not turning in classwork, and that's affecting your grade immensely. So then now we're going to do part 2 of this, which is the 1.12c. So I'm going to go back to my Chrome and look through my million tabs. Sorry. So we're going to be doing the 1.12c, exploring our food habits, part 2. Okay. So you can access this from your Canvas page. If you go to your Unit 1, Section 2 page. Okay, here's Unit 1, Section 2. Okay, scroll down to Lesson 12, because that's what we're finishing up. Okay, and you're going to click on the 1.12c, exploring our food habits. Okay, so I want you guys to complete this assignment in class. We will work on the first one together. Then you will continue working on the rest for the rest of the class period. Okay, you're going to upload this through your Google LTI when you're done. So when you click on this, you'll make a copy. It'll bring you to this document here. Okay. Notice that it is very similar to 1.12b. The only difference is now we're told to select an x-axis and select a y-axis. So the y-axis is no longer going to be just our responses. Okay, so when we come over to our IDS, we're going to click on our plot app again, right here. Okay, and from the plot app, let's make sure, let's see, we have 256 total, 326. So I'm going to go to responses here. And I want to make sure all of our responses have been shared. So let's do this. It's only going to take me a quick second. There we go. Okay. So all of our responses have now been shared, even the ones that you guys put in this morning, for those of you that did. So thank you for those. Thank you for the 6 of you that input your snacks this morning. All right. So then going back to my campaigns, I can now go to my plot app. Okay. So from here, right? Well, you guys you're going to go to plot apps right from right here. Okay. And then you're going to click on your period 4 plot app. So over here, we have our start date, end date. Again, you don't really want to touch those. Surveys, our food habits. What we're focusing on is the x-axis and the y-axis. Our first one tells us to select our x-axis as healthy level. Okay. Actually, before we get started, I would like you guys to indicate in the participants window, give me a thumbs up if you've already made a copy of the 1.12c and you're ready to go. Okay, give me a thumbs up if you have your copy made and you're ready to do the first one together. Excuse me. Okay, it looks like we gotta wait for a few people here. Once you have your copy made, please make sure you give me that thumbs up. We really don't want to wait too long, guys. It's wasting class time, but we will wait until everyone has their copy made and is ready to go. Okay. Okay, so that was a full minute. I think that was ample amount of time. Actually, probably a minute and a half for those of us that needed to make a copy and indicate. Okay, so at this point, we're just either stepped away from our laptops or Chromebooks, or we're not participating here. Interesting. Andrea, Katie, George, Matthew, Maya, William. I don't have any indications from you guys. So we'll see if that changes at some point. Maybe you guys are just forgetting or pressing it too many times, waiting for it to show up. I'm not sure. Okay, either way. So what we're looking at here is we're looking at an x-axis and a y-axis, right? So I have healthy level for my x-axis and I have serving size for my y-axis. So when we take a look at the plot here, we want to see that we're comparing the healthy level of a snack right? Compared to how many serving sizes that someone ate of that snack. So we are going to see a plot that gives us the healthy levels versus the serving size. So our x-axis is our healthy level. So we're going to click on healthy level for the x-axis there. And then our y-axis now is going to be our serving size. So we're choosing one for each of them. And then we're going to go and we're going to hit update plot. So take a look at this. Okay, it almost looks like a dot plot, right? Where you have the dots in each healthy level. And that's mainly because healthy level is a very it's a categorical variable, right? So categorical, you're comparing a categorical variable to a numerical variable. Because serving size, you guys could put in any number that was your serving size. Your healthy level, you had to choose between 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, right? So that was a categorical variable there. And we're comparing it. So if we take a look at these guys over here, so let's take a look. You have a dot all the way up here. Okay, that doesn't mean you have like 12.5 dots. That's not what that means. What it means is that whatever snack this is, right? Someone labeled it as, a healthy snack, and they had like 12, maybe 11 servings of that snack. So they had quite a bit. Okay. Over here, same thing, right? Someone labeled it as a 5, so very healthy snack, but they had like 12 servings of that snack. Over here, we have some of the very unhealthy snacks, right? And we can see that some dots are bigger than others. That means there's like multiple dots there, right? They're like overlapping each other to a certain extent. So then the question becomes, okay, so based on this, like there's a lot less dots than there are data, right? So we have a lot of overlapping data here. So you want to look at like the maximums in each of the categories here for maximum serving sizes and whatnot. And then you want to take a screenshot of this, absolutely. Okay, so you're going to take a screenshot of this, and you can make this yourself on your plot app, right? I'm using the same data that you're going to be using. You can take a screenshot of this, and you're going to place that right over here. Okay, you're going to place that right over here. And then you're going to create 1 or 2 statistical questions for each of the plots. Then answer your questions based on the data. So looking at these plots here, what are some statistical questions that you can write that this plot will answer? Okay, remember that we are comparing 2 variables here. So we're looking at possible complex statistical questions, something where we are asking a question about how healthy level works with serving size. Okay, so if you have any statistical questions, I would like you to please share it in the chat so we can all take a look at them for this plot here. I'll give you guys a few minutes to think of some statistical questions you might want to use. When you think you've thought of a statistical question that you might want to use, go ahead and share it in the chat. Okay, how many snacks are that we eat are healthy? Okay, that's a good statistical. That's a decent statistical question. But you have to realize that would be really difficult to tell here because it doesn't give us the count. We're not counting how many snacks, right? These dots represent how many servings you had of the snack. So this 5 is a very healthy snack, and someone ate like 12 servings of it. Okay. Natalie, again, great question, but that's not a question that this plot can answer, right? The whole point is that you ask the question and then you answer your question based on the data on the plot. So grams of sugar would be a great question if you were looking at grams of sugar. Does that make sense? What amount of snacks do we eat in large amounts that we consider above a 3? Okay. So how many, okay, so yeah, that would see that one would work because you're talking about the number of snacks that you eat in large quantities in multiple servings that we consider about above a healthy level of 3. So then you would look at the healthy levels of 4 and 5 and look at, okay, right, how many snacks are in this area here, okay? You could ask, what's the average number of serving sizes that the IDS class eats at a healthy level of, like, very unhealthy, or very healthy? What's the average number, right? And you can easily find the average because finding the average is just adding numbers together and dividing by the number of numbers you added. What was the amount of serving size that we ate per day? Also good question, Alexander, but again, you don't have daily data here. You don't know what snacks you ate per day. Okay, these are all good questions, but not, like, many of these questions cannot be answered by just looking at this plot, and that's what we're looking at right now. All we're looking at is this plot. So you can ask about healthy levels and serving sizes. So, what's the most, you can ask, what's the most snacks that you, what healthy level are most of the snacks categorized in? Did more students eat snacks that were considered unhealthy? Yeah, versus healthy, right? Good question, Madison. Did more students eat snacks that were considered unhealthy or healthy? So that's a good question. That's a question that can be answered by looking at this. Can we ask questions by the data summary as well? What do you mean, the data summary? Oh, about these guys? Sure. Yeah, absolutely. What's the median? What's the mean, right? And it even gives you the maximum, the minimum. The maximum serving sizes was 12. So it literally tells you that right over here, these points right here are 12. Right? So, excuse me, my throat is really itchy. So yeah, absolutely, you can ask that. Over here, it gives you your median. It gives you your mean right over here for each one, right? For your serving size and your healthy level. So you want to think about questions that can be answered by whatever plot you're looking at. Okay, questions that can be answered by whatever plot you're looking at, whatever data you're looking at. So your questions should all be around healthy level and serving size. Okay, grams of fat and grams of sugar and all that is good to look at, but that's not what's being shown on this plot. So that means this plot can't answer that question. Okay, so that's your goal. I'm going to give you guys 25, actually 20 minutes. I'm going to give you guys 20 minutes to work on this. Okay, we've effectively done the first one together for the most part. Okay, that's true. It doesn't give us exact numbers, Dario, but it does give us maximums. It does give us minimums. And it does give us somewhat of an idea of how many are in each category. So because your available data is vague, you also want to keep your questions more around like percentages or more than or less than, more vague, not vague, but more general and questions as opposed to very, very specific questions because statistical questions are not specific. They are more on the general sense. Okay. All right. So I'm going to give you guys 20 minutes to work on this. And if I will be here if you have questions. Okay. I have Vicky, you don't touch the start or the end date. You leave it just as they are. Oh, crud. That was dumb. There you go. And then for lesson 13, you'll need your notes notebook or your IDS practice book. Page 76 actually has actual parts that you can input some of the writing in for today for notes. Page 77 is a good like side note taker. And then again, for lesson 13, you're going to need to be signed in to your IDS account on the browser. Okay. So if we take a look here, okay, we have we're talking about Rstudio this time around. So lesson 13 is about Rstudio basics. Now, Rstudio is one of our tools on our IDS page here. Okay. So if you'll notice when we have come down here, scroll down. Oh wait, you can't see my screen. I knew that. But that's okay. I'm gonna go back to my PowerPoint here. So lesson 13, we're going to be talking about another one of our tools, which is the Rstudio tool. Okay. So you guys should already be signed into your idslbschools.net. Okay. All you need to really do is flip over to your IDS practice book or continue opening with your notes. Our objective for lesson 13 is that students will learn Rstudio's interface as well as a few basic commands to discover the structure behind a data set. Okay, Evelyn. So our essential concepts, okay, for the lesson are that the computer has a syntax. Okay, that's essentially its language, and it can only understand if you speak its language. So remember the lesson that we did a few weeks or last week where we did the whole sandwich activity where you had to be as specific as possible and tell me exactly what to do. Grab the knife, put it in the peanut butter, get some peanut butter on the knife, take the knife with the peanut butter, spread the peanut butter on the bread using the knife. Like that specific, right? And that's because Rstudio is that specific. You need to tell it what to do in a very specific language. Okay. So let's take a look at what we've done so far. So far, we've looked at the dashboard and we've looked at the plot app. Okay. These are both tools, okay, that are data visualization tools. And they are actually coded using the program R. Now, R is a statistical analysis program, and we can create nice tools like this. And there's a lot of coding that goes in behind the dashboard and the plot app that we're not seeing, okay? But they don't do everything that we might want to see. So we have to use Rstudio to get a more in-depth analysis. So our dashboard we did here, our plot app we did here, okay? Now R is a statistical programming software that academics and professional statisticians use. There are people who literally use the program R for their jobs on a daily basis, right? Like military analytics, naval, we're talking about big CEO, Fortune 500 companies, and analytic people that used R as their tool of analysis. So we're going to be using a somewhat watered down version of R, which is called Rstudio. Now, excuse me, the program of R is a very, very big program. So it's too big for us to even try to download. So we use a browser version of it, which is called Rstudio, okay? And that's this guy right down here. That's right here in our on our homepage of our IDS. So Rstudio runs R for us. And so we're going to be learning the programming language of Rstudio in order for us to be able to do some data analysis. Okay. Okay, thank you, Evelyn. So we're already on the IDS lbschools.net because of lesson 12. Okay, but if you by any chance logged out, you're going to need to get back in there. So we're going to log in into the ids.lbschools.net. So you're also going to be logging in on Thursday when we see each other because we're going to be continuing this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to click on the Rstudio icon on that page. Oops, sorry. The Rstudio icon on that page right at the bottom corner here. Okay. So this is where I'm now going to split my screen and look, I'm going to show my PowerPoint and my Rstudio. Okay. So let me escape out of here. I'm going to end up doing this. I probably shouldn't get too small because you guys are still going to need to read that. So let me click on Rstudio and see what pops up here. Okay, so when you click on your Rstudio, mine is going to look slightly different than yours because I've been actually using my Rstudio. Okay, I've actually been putting in data and looking at stuff and going through the labs that you guys are going to be going through. Okay, so your Rstudio might look slightly different than mine, and it's definitely not going to have as much stuff written here for sure. Okay, so don't be afraid that yours doesn't look exactly like mine. What you want to make sure that you do see, okay, what you want to make sure that you do see in your Rstudio is you do want to make sure that you see your 4 panes. Okay, now the 4 panes here are the preview, the console, the plot area, and the environment area. Okay. The preview is kind of like your spreadsheet. Okay, this is where you're going to be able to see your variables and your observations, okay, your rows and your columns of data. So for example, if you take a look at my stuff here, right, you were able to see that right over here. Like you were, so this is my preview area. Yours might be actually up here. Not sure. Okay. So it might have been flipped. You can organize this area, your Rstudio. We can talk about how you organize it later on. But this is my preview area here. Okay, you can see all the data that I've put in. So I can actually, and then this is some of the work that I've done. So this is your preview area. Your console right up here, okay, or below, depending on where yours is, okay? Your console is where you're gonna put your code. This is where you enter your code, okay? This is, so if I want to see my data, I'm gonna put my code right here. And then I can hit view data, and we'll talk about this, so don't be discouraged. And then my data pops up right there, okay, in my preview. And then you have your plot, okay? When you, in the plot area, that's right over here where we have like the files. And over here, you see how I've made a histogram? So when I go under plots, I can actually see my histogram that I've created, okay? And whatever other stuff that I've created as far as my plots go. I can also look at packages. I can get help from here. And then over here, when we do our labs, your labs will show up right here under viewer. So this tile here actually covers a lot of bases, okay? And then you have your environment. This is where you will see values and objects, okay? So over here, we have our environment says, see my CDC data. It tells me my values here. So it tells me I have 15,624 observations of 33 variables. Your history here also tells you all of the commands you've used, all the code you've used in the past. So like, let's say you were working on something and then you came back and it was erased. Your history would actually tell you what you've put in that's, in the past. So I'm gonna stay on the getting to know Rstudio pane for 2 minutes so you guys can get that down, okay? All right. So these are the 4 panes that we essentially have in our RStudio screen, okay? Now, as we work through these, okay, so as I was showing you guys saw me using or bringing up some data by the CDC, right? So you see in my environment pane that I have CDC data. When you pull up that data, you will have it there too, so don't worry, okay? So the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, also known as the CDC, is a government agency that collects data, a lot of data. This data specifically is about teenagers on a variety of topics. So they've just compiled a bunch of data that they've collected about teenagers, okay? We're gonna be taking a look at that data collected by the CDC about teenagers, okay? So the last thing that I want you guys to write down for today is the RStudio norms, okay? The RStudio norms are very important that you keep in mind every single time that you are using RStudio. So R is very sensitive to every detail, meaning if it's uppercase, it needs to be uppercase. If it's lowercase, it needs to be lowercase. The spacing needs to be perfect. The spelling needs to be perfect. How you wrote things must be the same way you write them again. How you named it should be how you write it every single time, okay? You must click on run after every line of data. You must click on run after every single line of data, or else it will not process, okay? And your cursor must be on the line that you want to process. So if you put it on another line, it's not going to process the line that you just wrote. It'll process the line that the cursor is on, okay? So these are norms that you need to make sure that you are aware of every moment that you are using RStudio, okay? Once you are done writing this, I'm dismissing you for the day. You do not have homework other than to finish the 1.12c. If you did not finish that, I will extend the deadline for that to midnight. So just in case you guys need a little bit more extra time, if you have other stuff you need to take care of during 8th period, I will extend the deadline for that till midnight. So please make sure you finish 1.12c by midnight. You are still inputting data into your app through your phone, your snack data, okay? But other than that, you do not have any other homework. Enjoy your day off. Be safe. I'll see you guys on Thursday.
Bye, Miss K.
Bye, Ethan.
Bye, Miss K.
Bye. Bye, guys. Have a great day.